A letter on the shore. Kent, Copenhagen. Without suspicion or intrusion, please read this letter. The time has finally come to me, the time I had long thought about, trying to believe it was my own, yet never having the chance to feel it as such. Now nobody else owns it but me, even though I do not wish to. I am looking down at the secluded street through a window. The light of my hotel room is turned off. I am writing by the light of a small candle, because someone below keeps watching me. In this underpopulated town, I can see only 2 or 3 street lights, intermittently to the end of the street, where stone steps lead up to a hill. At the top of the hill there is a shadow. I can hardly tell that it is a church, but cannot tell whether it is large or small, nor what it looks like. It appears like a black cloud against the night sky. A man is standing beside the house closest to my hotel. He wears a dark jacket and is therefore barely visible, melting into the darkness of the night. But he is looking at my room. I am certain of it. All I can hear is the sound of waves, the Mediterranean Sea, whose blueness I never had a chance to see in my entire life. If I were younger, I would rack my brain to plan an escape route. I could dodge his gunshots and run into the darkness where nobody could find me. If I were healthier, less worn out, I would dive into the dark blue ocean. Its depth would hide me from the secret police and their bullets. This will be my final piece of writing. Before sunrise, before the room is illuminated, I will end my life. Otherwise, I will be killed by a cruel and inhumane method, one I will never be given the chance to know. 8 hours remain to me. My life was filled with words and memories, yet none of them am I allowed to carry forward, since my soul will not retain this shape once my body is destroyed. Is it not absurd that a bottle should believe it will remain what it is forever? The bottle will inevitably be broken into pieces one day, crushed into sand, and become part of the earth. Even if it is gathered up and thrown into fire again, it will form different glassware. Should we call this reincarnation? It is fair to say that the whole may repeat itself, but that does not mean you will repeat yourself. That would be presumptuous. Perhaps my name will outlast my body, along with my writings, and people will remember me for as long as the archive of the human race, or the Western world, endures. They will bear witness to this man's existence as long as they can access my books and articles. You, who are reading this letter now, I tell you this. I am about to surrender my privilege of witnessing this man's existence. The one who has known him most intimately will soon cease to exist. He will then lose all privacy, and everything that belonged to him will enter the public domain, including himself. He will then dissolve into the accumulated fossils of the human race. Why do I exist? I have asked this throughout my entire life. The bottle has existed. That fact cannot be erased, even after it disappears, and no one witnesses its present existence. I exist in the same way. However, I have realized that something will be entirely erased when I end my life. I am the sole reason for its existence. It is something transcendent that bears no relation to anything but me. It does not reside in the dimension we can perceive. Therefore, it leaves that dimension forever when I end, because it is anchored solely to my existence. This is, consequently, an inverse statement. It exists because I exist, though I have tried to demonstrate why I exist. If I am afraid of committing suicide, this is the only reason. The preciousness of its oneness, its mystical encounter with me, given the vastness of the universe and the irrevocability of its loss once I relinquish it. I do not believe I will go to heaven or hell afterwards, for oneness admits no such destinations, and that is precisely why it is uniquely beautiful. I have realized that this is what I have been attempting to name throughout my entire life as a writer. But a name is nothing more than a name. A name is like a bottle containing water. It confines the water, deceiving us into believing the water itself has a shape. The bottle retreats into invisibility, pretending not to be an object, but an environment, a condition. In doing so, it satisfies itself. But I know that satisfaction is false. What satisfied me, nonetheless, was naming it and letting my friends and many others know that name. Some agreed with me, and the name I used inspired them. I could not witness the fire within them. I could only anticipate it. As I am not a solipsist, I must admit that fires existed within them like me. And I must also admit that they each witnessed their own oneness, something I could not witness for them. Some start today, some end today, like me soon. I ought to be at peace as I descend the path towards my death, knowing that someone will still be in this universe. I hope this letter will be found by my friend when the sun rises, and not by the man outside, nor the owner of this hotel. I wonder whether I should have had children so that my physical oneness might persist after my death. I confess that I even wondered whether I should visit my friend's room next to mine and ask her for something, her womb as a resting place for my child. I soon realized this was a hallucination brought on by the nearness of death. Having one's own genetic child should not matter, for everyone is the same with respect to oneness and uniqueness. Kinship is nonsense. Our bodies are merely bottles for holding water. This is not a scribble, nor a will, but a deliberate address. Its purpose is to convey messages and inspire an uncertain number of people. You seek to understand how this universe is made, how we ought to comprehend it, what exists beyond it, or whether those questions themselves are wrongly formed and what we should ask instead. I wished I could have witnessed humanity's discoveries myself, but I cannot. Yet we are all the same human. I believe that the reasons our species evolved on this planet, invented language, formed societies, joined forces, developed technologies and economies, identified ourselves, devised methods of acquiring knowledge beyond intuition, and continually questioned what we believe to be true, all converge on a single purpose, to witness the universe. War, in this respect, is not essential to a species but supplementary. It accelerates science and technology and fascinates us in different ways. Some become deeply religious, mystical, and fanatical. Others become among the most intelligent and productive figures in human history. But war itself, along with its victories and defeats, is meaningless. I hope people will not dwell on the consequences of this war imposed upon them. History cannot be erased. Losers are destined to bear defeat forever. Victories are praised forever. Only vengeance can override a dishonorable past. Those notions are false. Humans should strive to escape the chain of past events, to avoid being absorbed into it, to avoid becoming immanent within it. We should abandon our fixation on who we are, why we were made, what differentiates us from others, and under what destiny we exist. These questions cloud our lens. They reduce our life to merely a human life. We should aspire something beyond that. You cannot imagine how miserably I am sobbing now. Why are people like us always this way? From this room, slightly above the ground, I feel as though I am levitating towards a heaven I wish to deny. An angel takes my place. It makes me mistake myself for it. No, no, it is not me. Spinoza lived in the attic and was constantly afraid of his parishioners. Had that fear not existed, how different might his thoughts have been? Or at least the volume, completeness, and variety of his work, had his thoughts not been constrained by any external forces. When I take dozens of morphine tablets, I will not ascend into the sky. I will simply disappear, along with my oneness, leaving this letter as a trace of its existence. Tomorrow someone will be born in exchange for my disappearance, and the human race will continue in a slightly altered form, yet largely unchanged. The oneness of a species will still exist tomorrow. I take some comfort only in knowing that human worlds are always local. Even those are sometimes arrogantly called world wars, as if the northern hemisphere is the entire world. For this reason, the species will endure. Have mercy on the planet being spared a sudden meteor before humanity comes to understand the universe at its core. And now it is time. Editorial note. This letter was found in a hotel in a seaside village and is currently displayed in a corner of the village's municipal office. According to the existing records, it was discovered in the 1970s by a tourist who happened to stay at the hotel. It was glued to the wall of the room in a manner that concealed peeling wallpaper. Written on 2 sheets taken from a small notebook or diary, in poor condition, crusted and yellowed with age and an unknown substance, possibly glue or the author's bodily fluid. The letter was written in German. The editor translated it into English without supporting background research, as nothing is known about the author, the addresses, the date, the purpose, or the historical context. No relevant records were kept by the hotel. The translation was therefore carried out largely word for word, with non-idiomatic English avoided where possible. Despite its obscurity, the letter is carefully preserved and publicly displayed because of its tragic atmosphere. It is assumed, from the circumstances described and the language used in the letter, that it was written by a refugee during the Second World War.